Have you guys noticed how fast my beard grows? It's like 2 weeks ago, I just had a mustache, and now, perks of being a Persian, I believe. Hey guys, I'm Jafar here. Welcome back to the channel and thank you for tuning in. It's been a while since I recorded something kind of fresh. Yeah, I've been busy with work, and creating that Lightroom tutorial was actually a pain. I didn't think a tutorial gonna be this hard, but actually going back and reviewing the footage, putting everything together, and making sure that it's like sounding well and all the screenshots are like matching what I'm talking about was pretty hard. But I'm happy I did it, and I'm happy that it's out there for you guys to watch. If you haven't watched it, I'm gonna link in a pop-up banner in the corner, which is this side, actually not this side. Pop-up banner in the corner, and watch that after this video. Today we'll be talking about a prime lens, as you already seen on the title below, and this prime lens has been doing an outstanding job ever since I got it, and that's why I wanted to make this video to share it with you guys. Let's roll the intro. We'll come back and talk about it a little more. Spoiler alert, it's right there. Welcome back with Steer Small Faces. As always, this is the lens I'm talking about. The Rokinon 35mm f1.4. I know guys, it's a very fast aperture and it's an autofocus Rokinon. I purchased a manual focus and manual aperture 2 years ago, and I tried to give it a try because I wanted to experience how it feels to have that kind of aperture with this kind of focal length. That manual lens was actually pretty awesome, but the one thing I didn't like about it was how much chromatic aberration I was getting from that lens. Therefore I had to return it, and I was still in a hunt to find my favorite prime lens. After Rokinon came out with the autofocus 35, I wanted to give it another try, and I got it last year. And ever since, this has been the main lens that I've been kind of taking car photos with. I use my auto lenses every now and then when I need them, especially when I'm taking portraits or I'm in a tight spot that I need a wider angle. But this has been pretty much my go-to lens, and it never leaves my camera case. And to be frank, it didn't leave my camera before I start making the videos, because it's a very good damn lens for photos. As I said, it's an autofocus, and it's pretty amazing to know that autofocus is actually pretty fast. I was pretty amazed the first time I put it on my camera, because I didn't have high expectations for a cheap lens, which I'm gonna get to a price in a second, to perform that well. The autofocus is actually pretty fast. As you can see in this video, it focuses right on the car, and when I try to focus on the ground, it focuses right away. Let me also show you when I try to focus on the tree on the background, focuses right away, and also focuses right away on the car. So the autofocus is pretty fast, and that's pretty amazing for what kind of autofocus hardware you get for how much you pay for this lens, which again we get to a price in a second. Next thing is how accurate the focus actually is. I've taken photos with different lenses in the past 7-8 years, and one of the go-to prime lens people have is the 50mm. I got that 50mm from the Sony when I actually switched over to Sony from Canon, and I had the Canon one before that, and even the Sony itself, there was always some inaccuracy on the autofocus. However, with this lens, I never experienced that much of inaccuracy when taking photos, which is again pretty amazing considering Rokinon and Samyang making autofocus lenses for not that long, and they being a third-party lens on cameras like Sony. Now that we are talking about the autofocus, I would like to mention that the focal length of this lens is actually pretty awesome. It's not a macro lens, it's not advertised as a macro lens at all in the box, but the focal length of this lens is just less than a feet. As it mentions it on the lens itself as 0.98 feet only, and for those with a metric system, is just 0.3 meters. Which is pretty awesome. You can always get so close to the subject. If you want to take the detail shot, imagine getting that close to the subject and taking the photo with that low aperture, and you'll get the subject perfectly in focus and everything else be blurred. Yes, please sign me up. But again, it's not a macro lens. If you want to get as close as you want to a subject, consider getting yourself a macro lens, because again, this is not a macro lens. Since I already mentioned how fast this lens is and how low that aperture number is, I have to mention that how awesome this lens is for nighttime photography or the darker environment photography. Since you can go all the way down to 1.4, it produces outstanding photos. I used it a couple nights ago again in another photo shoot I had with a Whitebody Hellcat charger, and it was a pretty dark environment, but having that lower aperture and know that you can actually take a photo in which it's not terribly underexposed is pretty awesome. One other interesting thing about this lens is that it doesn't produce that much of chromatic aberration, distortion or vignetting. As I mentioned, I purchased a manual focus and manual aperture 35mm from the same company 2 years ago, and one of the reasons I had to return it was the amount of chromatic aberration I was getting from the photos, because I couldn't nail the focus right where it had to be. And with this, when the focus is always spot on, you're not gonna be getting a lot of chromatic aberration or to nothing at all. And also the glass is actually pretty good glass. I haven't had problems with distortion or vignetting, which is getting those dark corners when you take a photo, or having the corners to be curved a little bit. I know it's something that's possible to fix in post-production, or having the setting in the camera turn on to remove vignetting and distortion, but having a lens with a great glass that doesn't create those problems is actually pretty awesome. But now let's get to the quality and the pricing. I said it's an autofocus lens, and it's a great autofocus. It outperforms a lot of prime lenses in accuracy and how fast the autofocus actually is, and how sharp and clear the images come out of this lens. And knowing that this lens is actually not that expensive, and the quality is actually pretty rigid, and it doesn't feel plasticky, even though it has some plastic, like the hood of the lens is actually plastic, but it doesn't feel plasticky. You can see the ring is actually pretty awesome, and then this feels just like an aluminum, and the whole structure of the lens is pretty strong and rigid. I have dropped this couple times and never had any issues. Knock on the wood, I'm not gonna have any issues later on. And you'll be amazed if I tell you that this lens just comes a little over $500. Yes, you heard it right, $549 on Amazon, and that is a great price for how this lens performs. I know all I talked about has been pros about this lens, but let's get to some of the cons. It's a big and bulky lens. The lens that I'm shooting this video with is a Tamron 28-75 f2.8, and that lens is actually way smaller and lighter than this lens. But some people actually like to have a bulky, heavy lens in front of their camera. I'm one of them. I really like the heaviness of the lens because it will actually help me to take more stable photos. But some people don't, and if you are one of those people that don't like a heavy and bulky lens, I'm pretty sure you'll be kind of disappointed with this lens. As I said, the autofocus is actually pretty fast and accurate, but sometimes when you take photos in a dark environment or night shot, it has trouble finding that focus and focus right on point. There has been multiple times that I had to take control over the lens and manual focus in order to get my shot, but that's just 10% of the time, and the rest of the times it actually nailed the focus and left me impressed again with how well it performs. Staying autofocus topic, this lens has a great glass, and taking videos with it is pretty amazing. However, when you have the autofocus on, it does focus pretty fast and accurate, but when trying to shift focus from far to really close, it creates this clicking noise from its motor that microphones usually pick it up. And I have this video for you guys for an example. When I move my hand in the frame and the lens tries to focus, and when I move my hand out of the frame, in which the lens trying to focus in the car, which is in further distance. Rather than that, there are no other cons with the lens. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but this lens actually comes with the hood when you get it, and it's included in a box. It's a pretty handy thing when you're trying to take photos through the sun or in a sunny day. You don't get a lot of light glare or sun glare in your lens, and that's pretty amazing. And that's pretty much it. I'll try to review my other lenses because I have collected those I really liked in the past couple years of taking photos, and they're perfect for photography, especially in doing car photos, because that's what I'm more experienced in. Again, I've taken portraits with this lens multiple times, and having that autofocus paired with the iFocus option that Sony camera has, it's pretty amazing, and it works flawlessly. It finds the eye right away, focuses on it spot on, and just leaves you with a wow. If there's any lenses that you have in your mind and you're trying to buy, comment it down below. I'll try to find it and review it for you guys. Especially if you're a car photographer, let me know what you're shooting with or what is your dream lens. And if you have this particular lens in your mind and you're still not sure to buy it or not, I advise you to click on that checkout and buy that for yourself, because you will love it. This video is not sponsored at all by Rokinon or Samyang, but if anyone from Rokinon or Samyang watching this video, reach out to me. I love your product, and I would really love to put the auto lenses you have with the autofocus on my camera and try them out. And with that being said, this video is over. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Smash that like button if you did, and consider subscribing if you're still not a subscriber. I would really appreciate it. And turn your notification bells on so you're not gonna miss any content that coming out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks again for tuning in, and till the next one, peace.